All right. So we've got this interesting nugget from the director of Street Fighter 6, right? And we're going to get to this in a second. And that is over on Event Hubs on Twitter. It says, "What about Sub-Zero? Street Fighter 6 director states he's open to idea of guest characters from Mortal Kombat." Well, it wouldn't be a guest character; it'd be a crossover character. I think crossovers within the fighting game space aren't necessarily a bad idea. I'm kind of going to argue for and against this actually because I think there would be some unfortunate mishaps in NRS's disfavor actually if they actually put a Mortal Kombat character in Street Fighter, right? Firstly, it'd be actually really nice to see a Mortal Kombat character done in the Unreal Engine 5, software that we have running for Street Fighter 6. That'd be a good thing. Secondly, we'd probably get a much better take on the character because it is the Japanese than what we would get, with NetherRealm themselves, right? So I would assume, just going now to the Armageddon's play screen for all the different characters, because I wanted to choose everything available. I know there's new characters to come out since then, but I wanted to go to this one in particular. I think because a lot of the time, this is we're actually getting the actual cartoon versions of these characters still to a degree. This hyper realism that we get in fighting games now sort of starts to kill it for me, right? Now we floated the idea of Sub-Zero. Okay, so they would probably look 1,000 times better in Street Fighter 6 over Mortal Kombat because it's a better engine, right? They got better designers over there. They seem to understand what makes people tick, what character design is all about. So we'd actually have a pretty good indication. Now, if we were using, say, for example, Sub-Zero or Scorpion as the metric of a character showing up in a guest game, like what we've seen with Sub-Zero, Scorpion, and Raiden showing up in Injustice games, that's still within the NRS framework. We're talking outside of that. How would it work? Well, obviously there's going to be no blood, right? The special moves could still be done, right? But I guess slightly modified, right? I did a video the other day where I was talking about how, the reason why, from what I understand, the reason why they put the block button in the game was because characters have really fast teleports, right? Scorpion's teleport punch, Raiden's teleport, these are all really fast moves, and having the ability to just block by holding back is actually, could be detrimental because then you've got to quickly swap sides based on, how fast they teleport, right? They have the same option in Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, where I don't think the characters have any direct behind teleports. I'd have to double check. I don't think they do, right? But you have the option of either holding a block button or holding back to block. So you're going to have to take some of these things into account. Are we going to have a character like Scorpion with a lightning fast teleport in a game which primarily... Now I'm trying to go through all the Street Fighter characters, right? I'm trying to go through it. Because when you think about characters like... Hanzo from Samurai Showdown, where he's got his teleport that he comes in from the top. That's different because that's coming in from the top, not directly from behind. So you'd probably have to make some modifications to some of these moves, right? Maybe he does keep his teleport, but it's got a little bit more of a wind up, so they're ready for it, and then they modify that too, so it's not an instant just punish. They could make some changes to it. Maybe when he teleports, you can see he's about to do it. He teleports, he might do a low kick, or he might do a mid or a high, so you could do some changes like that that can sort of mess people up. Some characters like Sub-Zero, are we going to have a freeze, an actual, immobilizing move in the game? again, I'm just trying to rack my brains with all the Street Fighter characters. Do we have an actual immobilizing move in Street Fighter that literally stuns you and you can't do anything? I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if they've come in with new characters or I'm just missing one, I don't know. But again, you'd have to make some modifications, right? The freeze could just hit you like a normal fireball. But you gotta remember too that in Street Fighter, fireballs cancel each other out. So his freeze would, you know, his freeze would be cancelled out by another fireball, or say a move that can negate like a fireball. I don't know if Zangief still has his spinning backhand, you know, where he'd do that move, he'd spin, and he could actually like cancel out your attack, like your fireball. I don't know if he still got that. But again, we'd have these are some changes. These are some fundamental mechanical changes that they'd have to make to the character. Now, as far as like the best guest characters you could put in the game, if you were to do that, I am actually against this idea, and I'll explain in a bit. It'd probably be some of the mainstays like Scorpion, Sub-Zero, right? You could put Liu Kang in there, but then people would be asking for Fei Long. I would much rather Fei Long over Liu Kang in Street Fighter, right? You can put characters in there like Katana or Melina as well. You know, like these are like real pinnacle sort of characters. Maybe Johnny Cage, but again, I think it'd be a little bit too boring, you know, if you were to do that. If you want to go villains, you could always put Shang Tsung in there. That could work, perhaps, right? But again, you would have to make some modifications. Obviously, you know, there has to be an account for the fact they won't be, you know, spilling blood. There's obviously not going to be fatalities. You know, they'd have a special move, which would be cool. But that doesn't have to be all blood and guts and stuff like that. Now, one of the things I'm actually, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm getting older. Maybe I just don't care for the blood and guts anymore. Maybe I just want really good storytelling. Maybe I want really good characters. Now I'm going to argue against why I think this is a bad idea. I think it's a bad idea because I don't think they'll fit. Right? A crossover character needs to make sense. Okay. Now, we've got crossover characters coming in with Street Fighter. With, was it Terry and Mai? Right? That makes sense because there's connective tissue there with the creation of the actual Fatal Fury series, the creator of that, and the creator of like Street Fighter. Right? There's actual creative tissue there, which makes a lot of sense, right? So, I'd actually like that's why I'm not against that in that particular fashion because there's a lot of groundwork already there. You know, these characters look like they're Street Fighter characters. They look like they fit the universe of Street Fighter. You know, and of course, coming from the creation, like the creator himself, it makes a lot of sense, right? I've got a video on the channel talking about how that all went down. Now, I'm against it. I'm all for a crossover versus game. You make a Street Fighter or a Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter game, which people have been asking for since the dawn of time. By the way, the thumbnail I do have is artwork by a guy called Julio Khan. Excellent artwork, dude. Now, I'd be all for a versus event, right? We're still waiting. We're still waiting for our what do you call it? Our Street Fighter, sorry, our Tekken versus Street Fighter game. Right, we already got the Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Now we need the Tekken Cross Street Fighter game. They already hinted at it at an event. I think it was last year. They got on stage and mentioned something, and then the guy got carried off. And I thought that was a pretty big indication that they were actually possibly working on it. They could easily do it, considering the fact that both of these games, Tekken and Street Fighter, are running on Unreal Engine 5, right? Or at least I believe Street Fighter is. I mean, it certainly looks like it, right? So my argument, oh, actually, it's not running on. It's not Unreal Engine 5. It's the Resident Evil engine, isn't it? It's a Resident Evil engine, isn't it? Isn't it? Their proprietary engine. Regardless, they look amazing, right? Mortal Kombat is way behind. So, so I'd be for a versus event, a Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter. That would be amazing, right? People have been asking that since I was young. Okay, but to stick a guest character in there for no guest, like for like or a crossover character, you got to be really careful. You got to choose characters that feel like that would make sense. And I think in some way, I think Mortal Kombat characters are too fantastical, too fit in a Street Fighter world. Now you might say that, oh yeah, but you got Blanka who's got lightning, you know, you got Bison with his psycho power, Ryu and Ken with their fireballs, Akuma. Sure, okay. But there's something that's always sort of kept Mortal Kombat characters very unique from other fighting games. It'd be like you sticking a Killer Instinct character in there. Right? Sure, you could get away with it, maybe a couple. Maybe Katana out of Mortal Kombat, or Orchid out of Killer Instinct. But I don't know. It just like, yeah, some of these comments like aren't exactly on board. Of course, you always get like, I mean, this is what I mean. Like, it wouldn't be. Stop tweeting Tyler Lansdowne. God, he's not. He can't. The only thing he community manages is his lunch, right? While Samurai says, my understanding is Ed Boon always championed a crossover, but Capcom always ignores it as a potentially game changer. It's not a game changer. Having one crossover character does not change the fucking game, right? This is what I'm talking about when fighting games, it feels like they're becoming the McDonald's Fortnites of fighting games. They're just throwing shit in there. So we can go, see, because you can't do that. Like, it doesn't... It's actually ironic that we actually get smaller AA or A fighting game level titles coming out who feel like they're respecting their fan base more than what we're getting now, right? I don't want just Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat for Sub-Zero's sake. In saying that though, seeing him in that engine, seeing him fighting and in a non-blood style way, I actually would advocate to see, in the sense of, I actually would prefer Mortal Kombat starting to go back more to its roots of good storytelling and good character design and creation, over this abundance of constantly focusing on blood, constantly focusing on fatalities, constantly focusing on, you know, how can we like torture porn our characters. I would actually prefer the reverse now, because it's getting way too far in the other direction. We need that pendulum swing to come back. It says, me, God, I'm going to have to wait a year for the chance of Sakura and Dudley getting into Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 director, I will be open to Mortal Kombat guest character. Me, at least you tried. MK doesn't blend well with Capcom fighters. I actually agree with this. This would be too incongruent and would feel too contrived. The SNK guests are nice, and there's a reason for that. But please don't become Call of Duty with this kind of shit or stuff. Scorpion in a Street Fighter game would be the most freaking insane crossover ever. I'd love that. Yeah, maybe. But again, how is it done? And I don't know. Sonya Blade versus Chun-Li would be so epic. Yeah, Sonya would work. Sonya could work in a Street Fighter game. Kano could work in a Street Fighter game. See, I lean a little bit more towards very sort of grounded human type characters, right? I play Street Fighter because I like the world and the characters. Why do you always want to mix everything up? I've never seen Blanka in Mortal Kombat, and that's fine. Each game has its own universe and its own well-defined audience. Yeah, I don't disagree. Right, this sort of stuff would be placating people that they just don't care. They don't actually care about anything outside of like, oh, you know, I get to see Street Fighters like Ryu go up against Sub-Zero. So what? What people don't realize is that once that shine wears off, no one cares anymore. Then you're stuck with a character in a roster that feels very alien. Katana and Chun-Li in the same game would be the most freaking insane crossover ever. Of course. You always get the meat riders out here. This will be a game changer. Yeah, in a bad way. A Capcom take on NRS character. People in the comments are saying no. Are you serious? This will be nothing but positive, but give us Liu Kang though. Well, this is the point. There's no point having Liu Kang if you got Fei Long. Sorry. Right? Don't placate one dragon with another. Right? Just give us Fei Long. Right? And secondly, wasn't there controversy about Fei Long? Fei Long not being in there because of something about Bruce Lee, and that they put Liu Kang in there. Have you seen the way Liu Kang looks in the first Mortal Kombat? Anyway, and all his moveset. Jeez. A Capcom take on it would be great, just like how we got SNK takes on Street Fighter characters back in the day, right? They'll look really good. But outside of that, going, yeah, these look amazing, this look far better than what NRS could do. Outside of that, you have to think long term. How's this going to affect the game? Is it going to make the game look stupid, having a character that doesn't fit, right? Again, I would prefer a versus game, 100%. As a fan of both, I've been waiting for this for a very, very long time. MK characters have been guests in T-rated games before. I'm willing to accept that. I feel like the only character that will fit is Johnny Cage, since he's like the least violent character in the series. Well, maybe. There's enough neglected Street Fighter characters we want to see come back. Why use time and resources on things that do nothing for your brand? No fighting game fans are going to buy Street Fighter 6 because a Mortal Kombat character gets added. Why pay licensing fee for it? Yeah. God, please no, these two do not blend well. No, that's right. You would be better off, just to finalize, you would be better off having a versus game than a crossover character from something like Mortal Kombat. Putting a Mortal Kombat character in Killer Instinct makes sense. Putting a Killer Instinct character in Mortal Kombat makes sense. Right? You could also get away, possibly, at taking a Samurai Showdown character and putting it in Mortal Kombat, or putting one of the ninjas from Mortal Kombat in Samurai Showdown. You also have to think about how is this going to fit, right? Is it going to make sense to the game itself, right? And this sort of like, you know, immediate sort of, oh my god, this is amazing, you know, seal clap, right? That's just for children, okay? That's just for children. There are some benefits into seeing what another company would do by making a character, sure. Which would then prove to me that we really need to get Mortal Kombat out of NRS's and Warner Brothers' hands. Somebody needs to take over the license of MK. And I think, you know, when you finally see another company do those characters and do them better, even without the blood, even without fatalities, you'd probably be sitting there going, man, wow, this sucks, right? We need to, we really deserve to have a better Mortal Kombat game. So that's the plus side, but the negative side I've already talked about. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Catch you next time.